Atheism is a religion. Atheists should really want a God to be real. Atheists really do believe in a God. These are just a few of the stupid things that theists say. And believe me, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Why do theists say such stupid things? We may never know the answer to that, but at least we can say why what they're saying is stupid. Hello, I'm the Skeptic, the British floating circle that watches people make extraordinary claims, and then I explain why I don't accept what they're saying. Why won't God believers get it into their heads that atheists don't believe in gods? As far as I'm aware, the majority don't secretly believe that there is a man in the sky, nor do they see any good reason to accept that human herders exist. So when some theists make assertions about what folks like me believe, it really gets on my last nerve. So, before explaining why what some of these folks believe is pretty stupid, if this isn't your first Skeptic video, hit the like, the subscribe and the bell, and maybe the algorithm will stop being stupid. And a super thanks to those that hit super thanks in some recent videos. Mikael Lundgren, Jesus was a liberal, Pavel Nadolski, Mia Blossom, The Atlanta Atheist, and Parzival. And a big thank you to channel members who get to use Lisa the Rainbow Giraffe and more hen emojis. Lisa the Rainbow Giraffe bestows leaves upon you all. More hen. Let's kick off with a cartheist asking why we don't trust God's timing.
You're not behind, you're right on time. If it feels like you're overlooked, if it feels like other people are winning and not you, if you feel like you're behind, then this video is for you, all right?
Oh, I am always behind. The list of to-dos around the house is ever growing, and I'm always behind a slow driver on the highway too. Does that count?
Social media will convince you that if it hasn't happened yet, it never will. That if God hasn't moved it or worked it out, then maybe he just forgot about you.
Oh, God? Is God going to clean out my garage for me?
But just because you can't see God is working for you doesn't mean that he's not working for you. Delay doesn't mean denial, all right? Let's read Habakkuk. We're going to open up chapter 2, verse 3. For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. All right. So that means like appointed time, not your time. This is God's time, not our time. So just let that sink in.
What a cop-out answer. If something happens long after you want it to happen, or never happens, then that's because it wasn't an imaginary being's timing. I tell you what, car man, if you ask me to do something and it's not going to harm anybody, I'll probably help out. Heck, I'll even teach you decent camera angles for when you sit in your car and make videos.
Like, what if the reason you're still waiting and wanting God to do something for you, but he's not, is because he's protecting you from something you're not ready for?
Or it doesn't exist, so it can't do anything about it. And when you're asking for a God to do something, you're really just shouting into the void.
What if the reason that it hasn't popped up in your life yet is because maybe you need to mature a little more, maybe your situation all around needs to change before you jump into something new?
So this weak God can't even help you get ready for the thing you want to happen?
What if he's building your character before he gives you the platform? Your discipline before the blessing, your faith before the favor, all of that. What if he's really building that, and that's why it feels like you're falling behind?
What if the thing really just isn't real? Maybe get out of your car and make things happen for yourself.
Think about in your life if there's ever been something that you feel like should have came earlier, but once it did happen, it was perfectly timed.
Oh, so when I need a few $1 million and have needed it for a few years, it'll be perfect when it eventually turns up. It would have been perfect when I was in my 20s.
That's proof of God's timing, not our timing. Let's read 1 Peter 5:6.
Let's not. It's the Bible, so...
No one cares!
Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's almighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. The focus on that is that it's due time, his time, not late, not early, right on God's time.
Which is also indistinguishable from a coincidence. So how could you demonstrate that when something you've asked for happens, that it was a God and not just chance?
So if nobody's clapping for you yet, if you haven't gotten that offer yet, if you haven't gotten that promotion yet, just keep going. If the doors haven't opened yet and you keep praying, then it will happen. You just have to keep praying. If the promise hasn't shown up yet, just stay faithful. God doesn't forget his people.
Oh? So I guess every prayer ever has been answered by each and every God that had a request, since they don't forget their people.
And he always finishes what he starts. today, just think about that, and whatever struggle you're going through, relate it to God's timing.
Sure, if that makes you feel better. Or just get up off your butt and make things happen for yourself. Stop relying on something that hasn't been demonstrated to exist. That's ridiculous.
If this helped you, I'm happy for you. And I hope this reaches the right audience. Talk to a friend. And as always, don't forget to pray today.
Talking to a friend is the best advice from this video. At least friends can definitely help you. At least friends are there. You can see them. And they can do something. Jeez, that was stupid. Next.
Atheist arguments are just totally BS. Here's a list of arguments that atheists have, or reasons for non-belief. And if you don't believe it with me, by God, we're going to make you believe it.
Why do you have to make someone believe? Whatever happened to you believe what you want and I'll believe what I want?
We're going to force all the schools to teach our religion only. Atheism is a religion because what they believe forces them to hate.
What do we believe, old man? I'm sure you're about to explain.
Doesn't everybody have a right to their own opinion? But not for atheists. You've got to either believe the way they do or they're going to hate you.
Oh, no. I don't hate you for believing. I think you're a gullible mess. You lack critical thinking skills, but no, I don't hate you.
They're going to call you names. They're going to accuse you of things.
Oh, no. And I guess that's far worse than being threatened with eternal torture for not accepting what you believe. Well, they're exactly the same, aren't they?
They're going to get you one way or the other. And that's too bad. Because Jesus said, love one another. Now, don't you think?
You believe in Jesus, I don't. So if anything, you should be loving everybody and stop being a whingebag and thinking that atheists are hateful when the lack of belief in God doesn't cause that. I can be hateful for many other things, but lack of belief in a God is not the cause of it. So this is stupid. Next.
Funny story, but I was just looking through my camera roll yesterday maybe, or maybe it was 2 days ago, and I saw a video of me. I was basically just saying that I would never read the Bible every night, and it's not something I would do, and it was weird. It was very off-putting to me when I said that. I had this attitude that I was like, I don't want anything to do with that.
Who would want to read the same book every night for the rest of their lives? I get it.
And that is how I viewed religion for so long. You know, that is how, especially Christianity, and I viewed it as I didn't want any part in it. I didn't grow up with it. I didn't grow up with religious parents. It's just been like an atheist family. You know, no one really talked about God. My mom definitely was heavily involved when she was younger, and that's why she came out of it and didn't want to put that onto her kids. So I think that's why I wasn't raised religious, and that was never introduced to my family. If I told you guys that, if I told my older self that I'm in this position right now, I would never in a million years believe it. I would never, ever, ever, ever believe that.
What about your younger self? Your older self might remember this part of your life since it happened, but your younger self had no idea what was coming, unless, of course, someone that looked like an older you came and gave you a sports almanac, and then the timeline got skewed somehow, and now Biff is a more preferable orange-faced than the one we have now.
Because there was one point in me that was so against religion and so against that. I wanted nothing to do with it. I wanted nothing to do with the people that had anything to do with it. I just really didn't want anything to do with it. And the whole thing was I was really used to people that, you know, were very judgmental, and of course when you're on the outside of something, it's hard to see from the inside. And growing up in a small town, I did actually go to church a few times.
Just like every other non-believer. I hate to say it, but it doesn't sound like being an atheist to me.
With some of my friends that are religious, and that also felt like judgment. And so I never felt like I had a good experience with religion, and just never felt like in a safe place. But funny enough, I came to God, which that sounds so crazy saying, but I would have never believed that. But last year I did, and it's basically changed my whole brain chemistry and how I look at everything and how I look at life, and just a way of life is.
I bet it has changed how you look at things. You probably believe anything. Never leave the house alone, please.
And coming from me, I'm one person to really understand what it's like to not be religious, and now what it is like to be religious. And it's not at all what I thought it would be. I thought it was just so much judgment, so much rules, and all this restriction from life and all of these things. But in reality, everything just looks so different, and the Bible and coming to God has really helped me in my life a lot. And there's just a few things I want to say. Is in my last video I did talk about living in LA and what my self-esteem looked like and how I looked for validation through Instagram posts and through people. And
now you look for validation from a floating cloud herder.
Now I'm relearning that that's not the case. You know, you're made through the image of God, and that's how you are made. Everyone is beautiful in their own ways because that's how you are made, and that's how you should appreciate yourself. You know, your source is God. That is your foundation. Your foundation is not Instagram. It is not men. It is not women. It is not money. It's not any of that. It's not material items. It's God. That's where you get your confidence from. That's where you get your faith from.
That's where you get your faith from. I don't accept it's real, and I can get my confidence from being a badass and being with people who give me confidence. No God required.
You know, and that's where you have your trust in, and that's where you leave your worries. And that ultimately has made life so much better for me. You know, I'm still working on it. It's still very much new and still work in progress, but I look at myself differently, and how I want to perceive myself and how I want to put myself out into the world looks different from what it did before I found Christ. And I always thought that it was just rules and judgment, and it's not all like that. You know, if you meet a good Christian, a real Christian, they're forgiving, they're not judgmental, because the Bible says not to judge.
The Bible also says that you can beat your slaves as long as they don't die within a couple of days, so I really don't think we should be citing that as a good source of anything.
And the Bible says that love overpowers everything, and it does, and I've known that since I was little. And that's something that's super important, is serving others. That's another thing that's important to me and to Christ, is serving others, expecting nothing in return but giving. And all of these things are really new to me. It's so exciting to implement into my everyday life, and it looks so different, but at the same time it doesn't. I'm just transformed into a new person, a different version of myself. Everything just looks so much different. I try to forgive more. That is something that's really hard for me. I try to become a little bit more modest just because of how I view myself now. I will say finding Christ has been for the better. There was a whole different understanding from what I had back then. And it's not to say that, you know, bad things won't happen. 100% they will. That's how you learn. You build perseverance.
And you worship a being that you think allows bad things to happen for character building, which is really weird.
Those are important things in life that need to happen, but you grow through these things, and you're not alone. I take it as Christianity just being absolutely amazing, and you have someone to lead you and guide you. You have this book, and you can find something for everything in life in this book.
Right. Like one of my favourite things. What to do with children when they call a man bald? Send in the bears!
I was scared. I was scared for a long time because of the type of people that represented Christianity. It wasn't something that I agreed with, whether it was political or anything, or just characteristics as them. You know, nobody's perfect. Everyone shows their opinion of things differently, so it's hard to say, but once you're in it, you truly understand. I've lost a few friends over this. I totally get it. It's freeing. It's honestly really freeing. You go back to yourself. You rely on no one, no thing but God.
You don't rely on food and water? Or sleep? What kind of a weird robot woman are you?
But Christ, and you walk in faith. And there is a verse in the Bible that says, do not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but renew your mind. It's just crazy how I've noticed how we live for so many things in this world that are not like Christ. Money, fame, material things, wanting to be liked, wanting to be loved. There's so many things we're all clung to so much, and when we let go of this and we let go of the patterns of the world and needing these things, that it's ultimately so freeing. It's still new to me too, but I'm so excited to continue on this journey. It's felt like a lot of learning and growing lessons, but I've been super happy.
Oh, yeah. You look super happy.
And I'm super excited to be the person that I need to be. So, yeah, I wanted to make this message to anyone that might be, that might be in the same boat, that might be lukewarm, that might be curious, that might not want to do anything with it at all. That's totally something I understand. Yeah, if anyone needs any advice, any help, or anyone wants to talk about that stuff, it's interesting to see two sides of something so different. So that's my story with Christ.
Well, thanks for sharing that you probably weren't an atheist like you think, and that finding Jesus changed your life. If you could show it to the rest of us so we can confirm it actually exists, that would be great. However, next.
For the atheists and even agnostics out there is, would you like there to be a God? And I ask this in absolute sincerity because I don't have much faith, but I want to believe there's a God.
The only reason I would want a God to be real is so that I could slap its stupid face and tell it to get its act together. Expecting belief in it without evidence, threatening hell if you don't, child cancer, any cancer, abuse, what a horrid being. No thanks.
I suppose you could say I choose to. And I say that I ask this at the same time asking you to try and put aside, if possible, may not be possible, all the bad things done in the name of religion or of a particular God. I mean, I'm of the opinion that even if nobody believed in God, people would still do terrible things to each other.
And most, sure, not all, but most things that are terrible things that humans do to each other are because of religion. Anti-human rights, child abuse, killings, mostly done because of religions.
They'd find some other reason, some other name, some other excuse. And, well, from what I know of history, which is very limited, but it seems that mankind will do it to mankind, terrible things regardless, in any name and no name.
But mostly a name.
So, if possible, putting that aside, I'd really like to know, like, would you like there to be a God? With all the, afterlife and paradise and heaven and all that sort of stuff. I'm really curious.
I used to want the afterlife, but the more time I spend with people, the more I'm okay with enjoying the time I have with them now, and then when I'm gone, that's it. And there are some folks I never want to see again. An eternity in an afterlife with them? No thanks.
I'm on a bit of a journey myself. I call myself a Christian, but the more Christian I become, the more I realise I'm a really bad person. Or more, not necessarily a bad person maybe, I just realise if there is an ultimate standard, I fail in every way possible.
Isn't that awful? An imaginary God sets some imaginary rules that you'll never be able to follow unless you believe in the imaginary thing? So stupid.
Doesn't mean I'm a miserable, put myself down all the time type of guy. I'm just more aware of my faults, I suppose. You may not need to come to God to get to that stage, but I just got thinking this morning, especially after my last video, I got a lot of response from the atheist community, and I really appreciate that, is, would you like there to be a God? And if not, why not?
Because it isn't needed. If the Bible is anything to go by, I am far more moral than that being. If I saw someone being abused, 100% I would step in and stop it. This omnipresent being watches that kind of shit all the time and doesn't do a thing about it.
So that's just a question I'd like to have an answer to if you're up to it.
I'm up to it, and my answer is still yes. Just so I can slap it in the face. Given everything it does now, it definitely wouldn't fight back. It is so weak. Next.
I thought I was atheist, and then I realized that atheists still believe in something as well. Like the people who actually believe that they're atheists, you're not. Which is interesting to me, because if you actually look up atheism, I think that's what it's called.
Atheism? Well, that explains the title on this video. What on earth is an anthesis? Oh, hang on, the flowering period of a plant? Wow.
It's still a belief in something. You had to believe in God to not believe in God anymore. Does that make sense to you?
No, because it's not that I don't believe in it anymore. I never believed in it. I'm not convinced of it now either.
So when I started looking into my atheism, I started to realize that I still believed in something. It's not the complete 100% exile of any God. It's the fact that you had a God that you believed in that didn't do anything for you, so therefore you disbelieved.
This guy does not understand atheism at all.
But the belief of God is still there. So my dad was incorrect about atheism.
Oh, hang on. Are you like Jesus now, in that Jesus was also his dad, and you are also your dad who doesn't understand atheism? At least you're honest, I suppose.
You can not believe in God, but you can't make yourself part of any group at that point.
I better tell all the groups that I'm a part of that I'm no longer part of them then.
Because all groups believe in something.
Well, isn't that the truth? In my Warhammer groups, the folks I talk to believe their army is the best.
So if you are true to not wanting to believe in anything, then you can't say you're atheists, which I found to be very eye-opening.
Someone needs to go into your open eye with a finger and wiggle your brain around so it starts working again.
Which is one of the reasons I kicked atheism to the curb. Because I was like, wait a minute. It's still a belief in something. So everything is a belief in something.
What do I believe in? Instead of just saying stupid words, explain, because so far, you're wrong.
So, if the church is evil, atheism still believes in God, and no matter what I do, I guess God is always a part of my life, then I just choose to ignore the church.
Topher, buddy, I thoroughly recommend putting more padding on those walls. I'm worried that if you fall down more, you'll become even less coherent, and we're already struggling.
And that's where I'm at now, and that's how I got there, in case anybody cares.
Not really, no.
But this man, getting kicked out of 109 countries for all the same
Christianity is banned in that many. Huh, that sounds fabricated.
pushing this agenda on all of us, and everybody getting to the point where they're just like, no. And for some reason, America is just jumping in and being like, yes, yes.
Well, we've hit peak stupidity in that this guy is making 0 sense now.
Why? Don't know why yet. I haven't figured it out. I mean, there's obviously an underlying reason that other people understand that I don't, but man, it's disgusting, isn't it?
I guess. I'm not sure what's disgusting, that people don't believe in a god or that you don't know what atheism is, but hey, keep spilling the stupid. It's fantastic content. So we've got folks that believe in gods because Bibles and folks that have clearly never spoken to an atheist, yet again, but we've still got tons of folks saying stupid things about atheists and atheism. Good on them. Do you think atheists are really the stupid ones? Let me know in the section below. I'm going to skeptic this as yet more stupidity overflowing the cup. A big thank you to this month's top level ticks on Patreon. Dark Ether Piao, Tamo, The Barely Bearable Atheist, George, Godless Granny, Addy Rockhart, The Enixes, Jakari, Elizabeth, Whiskey Tech Fred, Rick and Ray, as well as all the $3 base ticks and channel members. You can become a supporter on Patreon too at patreon.com/theskeptic. The link is in the description along with links to all my other socials, or become a member by hitting the join button below this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. From me, the Skeptic, stay safe, keep thinking logically, and ask questions. Skepticism is the first step towards truth. See you next Saturday.